When I think of famous plot holes in films, the Pet Sematary adaptations immediately come to mind, both the 1989 original and the ill-fated remake, the latter of which could, warrant an entire video of its own, but for now, I'm going to focus on the broader issues that plague both adaptations. What is most frustrating is that despite King's novel being so visually evocative and arguably among his scariest works, there's never been a film adaptation that truly does it justice. Sure, I do think the 1989 film by Mary Lambert does capture that emotional heart of the story, yet frankly, it still misses the mark in terms of depth and scope. And as it pertains to this video, it's what both versions leave out that let these adaptations down the most. The end result is a plot hole so famous it's been memed and parodied to death.
Who are you? I came to talk you out of it. You need to just accept that your son is dead. Don't bury your son's body at the Indian burial ground, Starch. The one that's right up over there, behind the Anderson's barn.
Stephen King's Pet Sematary is a fascinating exploration of grief, loss, and the macabre. It delves deep into the unsettling nature of death and the consequences of trying to overturn its finality. Adding a layer of emotion is the fact that King based the book on several real-life events. Just like in the novel, King's daughter had a cat who died via truck. Faced with the challenge of explaining death to a young child, King found himself pondering the nature of loss and what happens if it were possible to reverse death's permanence. This led to the haunting question, what if a beloved pet returned, but in a sinister way? More disturbing is, King nearly had a child hit by a car, just like in the book and movies. Outside of his personal experiences, Pet Sematary can be seen as a modern retelling of Mary Shelley's Frankenstein and, more overtly, W. Jacobs' short story The Monkey's Paw, published in 1902. Both tales explore the theme of unintended consequences resulting from tampering with fate and with life and death. While The Monkey's Paw uses a mystical talisman to grant wishes with dire outcomes, King uses a burial ground that brings the dead back to life, but of course not as they once were. Stephen King has openly shared that Pet Sematary is the one piece of fiction that truly frightened him. This submission speaks volumes about the story's ability to tap into deep-seated fears regarding mortality and the unknown. King's skillful storytelling makes readers confront these fears, questioning how far they would go to reverse a loss and what they would be willing to sacrifice in return. In both film adaptations, the character of Judd Crandall is aware of the dark power residing in the cursed Micmac burial ground. He knows all too well the horrifying consequences of burying anything there, as it returns from the dead with malevolent intentions. Despite this knowledge, Judd introduces his neighbor Lewis Creed to the burial ground and even assists him in finding the spot to bury Ellie's beloved pet Church. At face value, Judd's actions seem absurdly foolish. One can't help but wonder, what did Judd expect would happen? His behavior becomes a significant plot hole because it's difficult to rationalize why someone who knows about the evil would do such a thing. Director Mary Lambert, who helmed the 1989 film, has offered her interpretation of Judd's character. Her interpretation is Judd embodies evil and might even represent a demonic force, metaphorically or perhaps literally. While I have great respect for Lambert's work, this reading seems detached from the essence of King's novel and the character. Judd isn't evil. He just isn't strong enough to defeat the forces that dwell beyond this reality. Ironically, Lambert doesn't do Judd any favors by omitting key scenes that could have provided better context for not only the story, but Judd as a character. And the end result leaves a gaping hole in the narrative. In both film adaptations of Stephen King's Pet Sematary, an intriguing and significant character is notably absent, Judd Crandall's wife, Norma. While the 2019 film technically features her in this weird morphing scene, she is pretty much absent across the board. And yes, she is in Pet Sematary Bloodlines, but that movie isn't an adaptation of the novel, so the point remains the same. Hashtag justice for Norma. For fans of the book, this omission is perplexing, as Judd's wife plays a critical role in shaping the narrative and understanding Judd's motivation. In the book, Norma is described as a sweet, pleasant woman with arthritis, but it didn't stop her from being a loving and caring person. Instead of just showing Judd as a single guy living alone, we start the book with Norma being alive and semi-well. While she doesn't get much to do in the book, she does provide Judd with more complexity as well as fixing this huge plot hole. During a particularly dramatic moment on Halloween night, Norma suffers a heart attack and Lewis Creed, being a doctor, saves her life. This act of heroism fosters a deep sense of gratitude in Judd, which is pivotal for the unfolding events. Judd's wife eventually passes away, but the extra time Lewis's intervention gives Judd with his beloved makes him eternally grateful. Judd, being an old school gentleman, feels indebted to Lewis. This gratitude becomes a driving force behind Judd's decision to share the secret of the burial ground with Lewis despite the inherent risks. And if that wasn't satisfying enough, King has you covered. There is another reason. You see, in addition to the personal debt Judd feels, the novel also makes it crystal clear that supernatural forces compel him to reveal the burial ground's dark power. This compulsion haunts Judd, akin to a bad habit or even an addiction, driving the plot forward in a way that mere gratitude could not fully explain. By providing Judd with a clear motivation rooted in gratitude and exploring the influence of the burial ground, Stephen King addresses what might otherwise appear as a plot hole. The novel gives readers insight into Judd's internal conflict and the external pressure that guide his decision. This depth of character development enriches the story and offers a more satisfying explanation for Judd's actions compared to the film adaptations, where the motivation can be seen as less clear, but at worst, very kind of hilarious. In the novel, character of Timmy Baterman offers a chilling moment that is overlooked in the film adaptation. Unlike the 1989 movie where Timmy is portrayed simply as a zombie, his role in the book is far more complex and sinister. In the book, Timmy Baterman returns from the dead, not just as a mindless creature, but as a vessel for exposing the hidden truths and moral failures of the citizens in the town. During a particularly haunting encounter, he divulges dark secrets of the townspeople, revealing their hidden affairs and betrayals. One of the most shocking revelations concerns Norma Crandall, strongly implying she was unfaithful to her husband Judd Crandall. This revelation of Norma's secret affair, whether true or not, adds a significant layer of complexity and tension to the story. It challenges the perception of Judd and Norma's seemingly perfect relationship, introducing themes of trust, betrayal, and the hidden darkness within seemingly ordinary lives. This depth enriches the narrative, providing a psychological horror that complements these supernatural elements quite nicely. The omission of Norma in the film adaptations significantly alter the dynamic of Judd's relationship with Lewis. Without her, Judd's motivation may seem less personal and more arbitrary. Her absence also removes a layer of emotional depth and the moral complexity that comes with Judd's choices. Including her would have enriched the narrative, yes, but also offer viewers a more profound understanding of the themes of gratitude, loss, and the sometimes irresistible pull of supernatural forces. Taking a step back though, surface level, she isn't a huge character, yet removing her also creates this huge gap in logic, which as a fan of the book is so deeply and utterly frustrating. I would love to talk to the filmmakers of these adaptations and really pick their brain as to why she was removed and therefore created this huge plot hole, which seems to make people laugh just in absurdity and disbelief. The 1989 film adaptation of Stephen King's Pet Sematary holds a special place in the hearts of many fans, and for a generation, it was their gateway to the world of Stephen King. And of course, it was the first attempt to bring this chilling tale to the big screen. This movie sets the tone for subsequent adaptations and is such a nostalgic ride for those who appreciate horror films from this era. Directed by Mary Lambert, the film is a thrilling, scary roller coaster that successfully captures some of the book's essence. What stands out in Lambert's adaptation is the emotional complexity she brings to the story. She brings these soft, quiet, tender moments that make the unfolding horror all that more unsettling. However, as much as I do love this movie, and it is very nostalgic for me personally, it's not a very good adaptation because when you omit an important character like Norma, it removes a key component to Judge's motivation, sure, but in the process, you lose a really sweet character that could have contrasted with the dark, clawing horrors that lay beyond. Not to mention, Norma being used for psychological warfare against Judd is such a disturbing aspect that is removed from the film. What we're left with is an enjoyable yet baffling adaptation. I had such high hopes for the 2019 remake of Pet Sematary, but it was bad. Again, maybe I'll make a video on it someday. With the good reviews from Salem's Lot on Max, I really hope we see a miniseries of Pet Sematary with a decent budget to truly tackle this book in a faithful way. Though Paramount sadly doesn't seem to want to invest in that, giving fans whatever trite crap this is. However, a book this scary won't die anytime soon, and I hope someone can resurrect this IP from the sour ground it currently finds itself in. So I hope you all enjoyed that video. To my subscribers who have been sticking with me, you are truly awesome. Your support means the world to me. I've been working hard on making my voiceovers sound a little bit more polished and professional, while also trying to add some cool visuals to enhance your viewing experience. And it is a little bit challenging to integrate clips. Even though they clearly fall under fair use, YouTube doesn't always see it that way. So thank you for your continued support. While you're sticking around, please consider checking out these other videos. And I'd love to hear what y'all think of Pet Sematary, what your favorite Stephen King book is. And I will see y'all in the next video.